folks, this is Reniac, and this is a special retrospective look at the Let's Play Olympics 2 The Confusing Return to Numbers, the 5th traditional LP competition held over at the S.C.A.T forums. It's just come to an end, and I'm delighted to tell you all that I came in second place overall out of 13 participants that started, 3 of which then dropped out, so we were left with 10 total for the finish, and out of them I placed second, losing out to Rort by 4 points, and then Fresno came behind in bronze, 2 points behind me in third. So a really close competition between the top 3 places, really good fun. And I know Fresno's already done one of these videos, but I want to do a little retrospective of my own, give my own opinion, and so this is what this video is. I should just warn you that this is a unscripted and live video, so it will be a bit more rambling and incoherent than my traditional LP stuff, which is much more tightly scripted. I do have a good idea of what I want to talk about, but just bear with me if I go off on a little bit of a tangent. So the competition kicked off then with Special Cybernetic Attack Team, or as I can now call it without getting penalised, because that was one of the minus points, S.C.A.T. S.C.A.T's a really good game. I've never played it before the week of the competition, continuing the tradition from the last contest I was in, the Spring Fest, where I placed third. As I say, a really good competition. This is what I mean about the rambling. A really good game, and I did pretty well on this. I scored 29 points and went straight into either third or fourth place. I think I went straight into third, but don't quote me on that. If you want to see the final totals of all the participants, including the 3 that dropped out, then I'll put the link to the topic of the results in the description. S.C.A.T went really well. One problem with it was I had to get my video out late. I think I did it Saturday afternoon just from my memory. And this is a problem that the judges have complained about, that there were a lot of what they call weekend warriors or Saturday morning warriors. And by that they mean people that did the video on Saturday or late on Saturday and got it out, and meant that the judges and the hosts had to watch 4 or 5 videos of the same game for 15 minutes, one on top of the other, and of course that can take the most out of any man. Having been a judge in the competition prior to this one, I can sympathise, because I know exactly where they're coming from. When we were running the one in the summer, was it the Summer Spectacular? I forget the name of it, and in fact Kakashi ruined everything by putting it back to Let's Play Olympics, confusing the hell out of me. But the Summer Blockbuster, that's it, the Summer Blockbuster, I was a judge on that, and we did get quite a few entries towards the end, and of course me being in England, time zones being as they were, meant that I couldn't judge some of them until either really late on Saturday morning, on Saturday evening, or early Sunday afternoon, which also delayed the scores coming out. So I do sympathise with the judges and see where they're coming from, but personally I was doing videos on the Saturday because I had little choice, and I'll elaborate on that for each individual video. So week 1 came and went. Week 2 was Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle. Now I had played this game before. I actually own it on a Genesis collection on Steam, which also includes the fantastic Gunstar Heroes and Shinobi 3, among other games. I thought, decently well. I was aiming for a no-death run. Unfortunately, I ran out of time yet again, had to get the video out, so I put it out on the Friday, I believe, of that week. I was aiming for a no-death run, but the queen of the Jankin game, except we couldn't call it Jankin because that was a negative point, decided to troll me, which led to a rather amusing video title of Reniac Gets Trolled by Freddie Mercury, so kudos to Decoy Octopus for that one. Another really fun game. Well, I say really fun. I think if you played it for too long, it would get kind of boring, and it wasn't. I can again imagine that the judges probably didn't have the greatest of times watching 12 videos of Alex Kidd, because not a lot happens in that game. You go through, you collect items, you win games of rock paper scissors to collect items, you beat bosses using rock paper scissors, you win the game. That's about it. It's not a terrible game by any means. It's just rather short and rather, limited in its gameplay. Not that that was a bad thing back in the 1980s. I'm tangenting already. This is going fantastically well. Anyways, Raw killed this week because he did an LP first. He beat the entire game in 15 minutes, and I think at this point everybody realised that it was only going to be Raw that was winning the whole thing. But I was determined to try and give him a run for his money at least, and at this point I was in a solid third place. Bullzone, a newcomer, a really good newcomer I should say, was on my tail. Sadly we'd already lost one casualty in the form of Catherine Blazer, who I may be pronouncing your name wrong. If you're watching or listening to this, I apologise. Shame, because the enthusiasm she showed in her S.C.A.T video was really good, and I hope she returns for future contests and future LPs in general, because I think she is actually pretty decent. Anyway, week 3 was an interesting one. Now, you could either vote. This was the only one where you could actually choose your own destiny, as it were, to steal a phrase off Mortal Kombat, which I love doing so much for some reason. You had to vote whether you liked puzzle games or you didn't like puzzle games, and something in the back of my mind said that liking puzzle games was the right choice, and I got to play Crazy Creatures. Now, this was a really obscure, unlicensed puzzle game for the NES, and I found myself really liking it, but it was kind of hectic because, to go into real life just for a second, without being too specific, there was a emergency of a sort in the household. Somebody was taken ill, so it got rather hectic. But I did get the video out on time, and it was a score challenge as well, and I actually placed in the top 3. And everyone who knows how good I am at puzzle games, and I'm not being sarcastic at all, knows that was a real achievement for me. I scored, looking at it, 30, which was my highest score up to that point. And as I say, that week went really well. The poor souls that didn't vote to like puzzle games got Action 52. And if anyone has played Action 52 or even heard of Action 52, they will know just how horrible that game is. But of course, Rort stepped up to the plate and killed it again because he beat his game. Again. And at this point, everyone's starting to realise just what kind of inhuman gaming demon they've come up against. But no offence to you, Rort. I'm paying you a compliment, buddy. It may not sound it, but I'm paying you a compliment. Week 4 was Mario Kart, but we couldn't call it that because that was a negative point. This was a really interesting week. The mini mode gimmick that was thrown in really added to this week. It made what had been a very staple game that nearly all of us have played a lot more interesting and a lot more difficult. And now here's the fun thing. You could co-op your video for an extra bonus point with another contestant. Now naturally, me and Fresno were going to co-op because we've been friends for some time, and I don't think we'd ever done a co-op up to that point. We've appeared on other videos of ourselves. We've each appeared on one of the other's videos in the past. I've lent my voice to his Silly Voice Adventures. He helped me with a Doctor Who review, just off the top of my head, and there'll probably be more stuff like that in the future. But long shot, it didn't work. It was lagging to hell and back, and then we decided, you know what? Sorry, we're going to have to do this solo. And we went for the 2 quote-unquote worst characters in the game, because you couldn't pick Koopa or Toad because they were banned. He picked Bowser, and I picked Donkey Kong Jr. And actually, they're not bad characters at all. In mini mode, they're kind of tricky because if you get crushed, you go right to the back of the grid, especially at the start of the race. And there were further problems like you couldn't use items unless you were in 3rd or lower, or you'd lose a point. You couldn't mention the name of the game, or you'd lose a point. Well, no, you could mention the name of the game, but you couldn't mention any of the characters by name. You had to come up with different characters. And so I did, for a bonus point, and I named them after movie characters. And if I can remember rightly, I called the Mario Brothers Don and Vito. No, I didn't. Michael and Vito Corleone, was it? I called them the Corleone Brothers anyway, after the Godfather trilogy. Peach was Miss Moneypenny because my obvious love for Bond. More on that in when we cut to the next couple of weeks, by the way. Yoshi was Gordon Gekko, in a name I thought was inspired. DK Jr. was Dunstan. Bowser was... Was it Jareth? I think Fresno gave me that name. It gave me Jareth, as in Jareth from Labyrinth. Koopa Troopa was Short Round, and Toad was Frodo Baggins. I was actually quite proud of those names. They may not be the most innovative around, the most imaginative around, but I was fairly proud of them. First, I went the whole hog and decided to call it Super Pokemon Kart, and absolutely killed this week with a 31. He actually got the highest score of anybody for this week. I should mention, by the way, Cappy got the highest week in Puzzle Week, just in case Cappy thinks I'm ignoring him. He got 33, and that was a very, very high achievement. In fact, that was the joint highest score for any week for the entire competition, so congrats to Captain Cappy. Where was I? I've now put myself in a tangent that I can't remember. Oh yeah, Mario Kart. First I went the whole hog and called it Pokemon Kart, and that was really funny. Rort did his typical "I'm going to crush the game and none of you are going to stop me" routine. As I said, at this point, the writing was on the wall for anyone that wanted first place that wasn't named Rort, but we soldiered on. A really fun week, one of my most fun weeks, despite the fact that because of the backlash to the medical emergency again, and also the fact that we had planned originally to do this co-op, the video was late getting out, and again, it was a Saturday morning project. Other than that, it was a fun week. Week 5 was not so fun for me. Week 5 was Slender. Now, all of you who have watched the video will know that my computer and Slender do not mix, like pouring oil on top of water. So unfortunately, I couldn't get the game to run at more than 10 to 15 frames a second, so that, straight away, made for a bad video experience for me. Factor in that you could get a bonus point for putting your a video stream of you reacting to the game, and the fact that my attempt to do this failed and I had to remove it from the video, and I scored my worst mark for the entire competition, 27. Still pretty high. I think my impromptu song based on the Candyman saved me, and also my reaction to getting caught by the Slender Man at the end of the video, which was admittedly hilarious. I found it hilarious. Of course, you may have thought it was the most lame thing since sliced bread, but to each his own. I have a few problems with this week. First of all, because I couldn't run it, I realised I was the only one with this problem, and to be fair to the judges, they said they weren't going to penalise me for technical difficulties, so that's fair enough. But Slender is really boring to watch videos of. It's a very good and atmospheric game, but it's really boring to watch, and again, goes back to the judges having to watch the same video again and again. It must have really got to them. Also, not to mention, we had a rest week actually before this, and that was kind of a problem in itself, because while it was good that I got a week off to recover from the hecticness of the previous 2 weeks, personally, it also, for a lot of the contestants I've heard, it kind of took away their sense of urgency. It kind of cooled them off, as it were. I don't know how to translate this into proper English. It took away from our enthusiasm, I suppose. Anyway, I don't think Slender came off as a great week, to be honest. I appreciate the idea of tying it into Halloween. I appreciate trying to do something different, which I'm all for. But not everything you throw at the wall sticks, okay? And again, I don't mean this as a personal insult to the hosts or the judges or the contestants, but for me, that week was an experiment that maybe shouldn't be replicated. But the following week more than made up for it. This was my favourite week by far. This was movie week, and you got to pick any game as long as it was a direct movie tie-in. Now, I had 3 possible choices, 2 of which you've seen me do videos of in the past month. Oh, also, you couldn't pick any game that you'd already LP'd that was a movie tie-in. That meant that Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was out, thank freaking God. And also The Addams Family, which I've said in that LP was a really good game, so it's a shame I couldn't play that. But hey ho, that's the breaks. So my 3 choices were Blues Brothers 2000, which I've played for you as a bonus video, and as shown, it's terrible, so thank God I didn't go with that. GoldenEye as a safe option if I couldn't get anything else to work, because I should mention, I wanted to do my own LPO first, as far as I know, and play an N64 game for the competition. So it was either GoldenEye or my eventual choice, The World Is Not Enough. This is a shoot 'em up based on the film of the same name, and it's actually kind of underrated. There are parts of it, especially later in the game, that are absolute bullshit, like the stealth mission and anything involving that goddamn submarine at the end of the game. But for the most part, it's a fairly underrated based game which sticks to the plot of the film pretty pretty faithfully, I would say. So I picked the world is not enough. I had a couple of minor technical issues again with the sound. It's for some reason the emulation for that game is not 100%. And I tried a number of. Well, I don't know why I clapped then. I think that's just me clapping my hands together because they're freaking cold. The emulation wasn't 100%, so there was a few snap, crackles, and pops, and I don't mean the breakfast cereal mascots, on the audio. But because the audio was turned down anyway, so you could hear my voice talking over the top of it, I think it came out pretty well. I was really pleased with that video. I scored. What did I score? I scored 29. I got 27 for Slender, as I said, which I was happy for. I scored 29, and I think again that was the best score of the week. It beat Rort by a point. It beat Fresno by a point as well. I'm sorry, folks. I'm kind of checking the scores as I go along just to make sure my information is accurate. So a really fun week, and I applaud the judges for putting this in here. We've got some really interesting choices. Fresno did Batman and killed it. Really professional run of Batman in the S. Rort did an arcade game based on Alien, or Aliens, I forget which one. That was really interesting. Somebody did Star Wars, I think, unless they did that as part of a bonus video for the games they didn't pick. And also this week was noticeable because we finally lost we lost Kazcake in Slender Week. He decided not to release a video, so he dropped out of the competition. It is no secret that Fat Kakashi does not like Kazcake, and I think, to be fair, a lot of the competitors don't really care for him either because he just got no enthusiasm. I feel kind of embarrassed because it was my video, cast your mind back months and months ago, that was like a casting call for new LPers or people that had never participated in the contest before to sign up on Stop Making People Sexy and sign up for the summer blockbuster, and Eho did, Kazcake did, and Squishcat did. And Kazcake just had no enthusiasm. And as a judge, I had to sit through 8 weeks of him going, I'm not really interested in this game, so I don't really know why I'm playing it. No. If you're doing an LP video, you've got to sound like you were in... You don't have to enjoy the game if it's a terrible game, but at least sound enthusiastic that you're doing the video. I mean, come on, that's not rocket science, that's just common sense. So we lost him at Slender Week. As I say, Movie Week, really good idea. It was refreshing. I don't think anybody played the same game. Tajir did Jurassic Park, which was another vague idea I had, but I soon found out he was going to do Jurassic Park, so I quickly knocked that on its head. As I say, really fun week. Really good idea. The judges and the host should pat themselves on the back for coming up with it. And week 7 was another fun week, and this was another game that I had played. Kind of funny how 5 of the games this competition I had played before. The other ones I hadn't played before were Slender, S.C.A.T, and Crazy Creatures. The other ones I had played before in some capacity. So week 7 was ActRaiser, which I had played, but it was ActRaiser in professional mode, which admittedly I hadn't done. Now ActRaiser, really good game, one of the all-time Super Nintendo classics according to some people. Fresno was grinning like a Cheshire Cat as soon as he found out we got this game because he's LP'd it in one sitting. And it might even have been in professional mode, and I think it probably was, which cuts out all the simulation nonsense. I explain a lot of these in the respective videos if you haven't seen them, but as I said, this is a retrospective. I did pretty well on this again, but again, had to wait until Saturday to get the video out because I was trying to go for a take where I didn't get hit on a level, and ideally didn't get hit on more than one boss, because the bonus point was defeat a boss without getting hit, which I did with the Manticore, which wasn't too difficult once you learned the pattern, but there were a lot of failed takes where I either did something stupid or the Manticore did something away from its pattern, caught me out, and I got hit and had to restart. So my perfection, my dedication to doing a quote-unquote flawless run kind of bit me on the backside, and I nearly didn't get the video out, but I did. Scored 30 for it. It was the second highest score of that week, so again I was pleased. Sadly, Heaven Metal Mage didn't get a video out, so he scored 0. But he took his punishment like I say punishment. He took the 0 like a man and came back for the final week, so congrats to him. At this point, the contest was all but sewn up because Rort was like 6 points ahead of me at the time. So unless he had a complete mess up on the final week, there was no way I was going to catch him. But at this point, I'd taken second off Fresno. I'd taken that off him as of week 6, as of The World Is Not Enough. I was two. Actually, no, I think I might have got ahead of him Slender because he didn't have a great Slender week either. In fact, to be fair, I don't think many people had what could be described as a terrific Slender week. Rort scored 31. Back to Outraiser, as I say, really good game. And it set the stage for the final week. And I was expecting something difficult. I was expecting something that will perhaps just slightly tip the balance in my favour and make me get an unbelievable underdog victory. We got Super Mario RPG, but we got Super Mario RPG with a twist. Now, I have played the game, I have beaten the game, so I was very happy when we got Mario RPG. However, the twist was you had to beat the two optional bosses, Jinx and Kulex. Fakakoshi has stripped us bare of all items, and we couldn't use 3 banned items that make Kulex a breeze, and they are the 2 lazy shells, the armor and the weapon, and the star egg. I was fine with this, because I developed a strategy that really worked quite well. I think this was probably my best week, actually, in terms of playing the game, and the judges must have agreed, because they gave me my highest mark to finish with 31, which meant I finished 4 points short of Reed, but I was really proud of my effort. I took out 2 of Kulix's crystals. I think I was the only contestant to do that, not bragging or tooting my own horn, but I think that's the case. Fresno got rid of 1. Rather surprised that Raw didn't get rid of any, but then again, he did go in without the crystal lines, which was ballsy, and probably scored him a few extra style points. I don't think the items that were banned were ever officially revealed, although Fakakashi did offer a cryptic hint of Limp Bizkit Year 2000, and of course, that album, which I actually own, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit to now, but maybe not, because it was a good album at the time, is chocolate starfish and a hot dog flavoured water, so it had to be an item involving stars, and of course, that's the star egg. And it is broken because it gives you 100 damage and is completely reusable. It doesn't get used up after 1 turn. I don't mean that you can get freebies all the time, I mean it's reusable. Jinx I crushed. I was aiming for a no death run, and by no death I mean none of my characters getting killed on either Jinx or Kulex. In the end I had to let Peach die to her bombs away, but I decided this was the best take by far, so I just ran with it. Overall, really good competition. Congratulations to Rort again, and Fresno, and my prize, in case you're wondering, is $20 worth of Steam credit. So I'll be able to get myself a game or two, a really nice game or two with that, and coming up to Christmas, that's going to be fantastic. So congratulations to the hosts, to everyone that took part, to the judges, for making this all possible. I don't think I'll be participating in the next one. And before I sign off, just a couple of minor criticisms. I think the mention of apathy, I think maybe if you do 6 weeks instead of 8 for the next competition, whoever runs it, I know it was originally going to be Polly, but now it might turn out not to be Polly. It's kind of up in the air. It won't be me, by the way, folks. I'm not going to be running one of these competitions anytime soon, if ever, because I would be a terrible... I personally think I would be a terrible host, even if I co-hosted it. Well, maybe if I co-hosted it, they could get my terrible ideas into line. I think I'm a decent judge. I think I'm a very fair and objective judge, as opposed to subjective, which you don't want to be when you're judging something. But I don't think I'd be a good host. As I say, apathy has been brought up between both the judges and the contestants. I understand people have to do the videos on Saturday sometimes, like Shin Nefson, I believe, is so busy he only gets the chance to do it on Saturday. I'm so busy I only get a chance to do it in my evenings or my weekend. So I think the way around that is probably to do 6 weeks. But it's always been 8 weeks, so if you want to stick with tradition, I suppose we could just go with it. Also, another thing, if you're not interested in doing it for the long haul, don't participate. I'm not talking about Cameron Blazer. I'm not talking about Bullzone, because they dropped out for reasons that were perfectly understandable. I'm talking about Kazcake, because he just did not sound enthusiastic in either of the 2 competitions he was in. At all. You can't really be an LPer unless you are able to convey some level of enthusiasm whether negative or positive, some sort of reaction about the game you're playing. Okay, you just can't. You just can't. Anyway, I've rambled far too long. The video is approaching the 25-minute mark. In fact, maybe it's just gone over the 25-minute mark. So all I wanted to say was, great competition, really enjoyed it. Congrats to our winner. I won't be back for the next one. I probably will sign up to be a judge again, but this time I'll do it because it was kept a secret last time. This time I'll probably be out in the open and say I will be a judge. I hope whenever the next contest is, and I know there'll be a break now, and it'll probably be in spring of next year. Whoever hosts it, I hope they take on board some of the points that me and Fresno and other people have put forward, and above all, have a lot of fun running it. So that's it for this retrospective. I will also possibly do a little bonus montage of my best bits as I saw them to celebrate the end of the competition, and that'll probably be out in the next couple of days. But until that moment, I've been Rainiac. I hope you all enjoyed my videos of the contest and the videos of the other competitors. I will be back very shortly for the start of a new LP, and I also have a one video project which I'm really excited about, which I hope to get done. I would like to get it done by before Christmas, but realistically that won't happen, so it'll probably be top end of next year, but I'll see what happens. So until then, I've been Rainiac. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble non-stop for 25 minutes, and I'll see you all later.